All right, guys. So the main thing I'm gonna add to just doing Edmentum is gonna be the Google Classroom. So with the Google Classroom, all you're gonna see is I'm gonna post resources. Like I might post, like for example, this video. This video is gonna be on the Google Classroom. Like it'll probably be like I'll probably have like a videos tab where you guys can see like if you guys are sick or something happens, you guys can always go back to those recordings. Um, However, like I will want you guys to at least have a meeting with me. So like let's say you're sick on like Monday, you can go to my Calendly and post an appointment with me, and I'll show you guys how to do that in a bit. But for right now, this is a resource I want you guys to use. It's a trig sheet cheat sheet. It's going to have everything from the trig functions, um, trig rules. We'll get into those later. I know these things look complicated, but it's honestly not that bad once we get into the unit. And you're not going to use like all of them at the exact same time. The unit circles here, so you guys have that to refer back to in case you guys have to do unit circle problems, which you will in pre-calc. But this is just something that I find really useful, and you guys are allowed to use it during tests and stuff. And if you guys have a printer, print them out, make notes. If not, what you guys can always do is you can put Doc Hub on your Google Drive. And if you open it with Doc Hub, as soon as it loads up, what you can do here is you can kind of like use a pen to like freehand write notes on it. And then, oops, I don't know what I just did. And then you can put it into your Google Drive after you write some notes on it. And you can always open it again with Doc Hub. So I like using Doc Hub just to be able to write notes on PDFs. Close that for now. And here I'm going to put all the deadlines for the units. Right now I only put one down just because I just wanted to make the class as soon as possible so you guys can have an idea of what it is. If you log into the Google Classroom, the link to the meetings is always going to be right here. So if you don't go to calendar.google.com, if you guys accepted it, you guys should always see the pre-calc meetings. But in case you just like want to like do it fast, or if you want to use your cell phone with the Google Classroom app, it'll always be right here for you guys to join that way. And you guys can always message each other here if you need to, or just go to people and send an email to whoever you want here. So if you guys are like working with someone or something, you can always like help each other out. Don't copy, but I do want you guys to feel part of a community in this class. I don't want this to be just like a regular Edmentum. I'm doing this on my own and I wish I had someone to help me out. Help each other out. That's what I want you guys to take away from this class. And I'm also going to teach you guys how to use a lot of the technology. Distance learning is hard, it does have challenges. So I do want to teach you guys how to put pictures in Edmentum, how to use the equation editor, things like that. Did you guys have any questions so far on any of that? Yes, no, maybe? What's up? Okay, cool. Good to know. So let me log into Edmentum real quick. You guys have two options you can do. Um, One might be a little easier than the other. Um, I think the way I'm going to teach it, it might be beneficial for you guys to literally just have a notebook out and just write the notes and do it on your own. Because that way you can look at my screen and copy down any notes or anything. Like if I'm saying something that, like, oh, that's a good way to remember it, you can write that down. Versus like if you're like going back and forth, like us, like let's pretend that this tab is the screen and you're going like, oh, gotta write fill this in on Edmentum. Then I have to go back over here to see what he's doing, then go back to Edmentum. I think a notebook might be the best way, but if you're really good at auditory learning, then maybe you just need to hear my voice. Um, I feel sorry for you if you just need to hear my voice, but I mean that's the thing. To each their own. But no, really, guys, I just want you to find the best way that you learn. And if what I'm saying doesn't make any sense, speak up or at least write it in the chat. Um, in case you guys don't know how to use the chat, let me show you right now. Luckily, no one's on camera. You guys can click chat with everyone and just type in right here. This is how to chat. That way you don't have to turn your mic on or anything. You can just chat me or raise your hand if you feel like you're going to interrupt me and you just want to be acknowledged, or just laugh at a joke or whatever right here. Um, ba, ba, ba. But yeah. So now let's get into the actual lesson. So I'm going to be able to grade your guys' units as well as your teachers. So and let me know when you need a certain unit done by. Like, let's say you're like, I really need to have this unit in right now. Let me know, and then I can try to like grade it as fast as possible. That way you can get the unit in for that month. So let me go to manage courses. I think there's only like 2 pre-calc classes. So you guys are like one of like 2 classes. And this class doesn't have anyone right now because I think this was Tomas and I moved you over here. But I can always move you back, Tomas, if you feel like you can do it faster on your own. Again, I just want you to utilize the Google Classroom as a resource for videos and ways to help you out. I will give you guys an end date so you guys will have a pacing guide. I'm thinking like 3 weeks for a unit. That way you guys have time to like learn it and stuff. And I think it's about 3 activities per unit. Like Nick said earlier, there is one unit where it's like 10, but we're gonna see about trimming that down. So I can show you guys right here how it looks like on my end. So how to Edmentum, you guys don't need that right now. We're gonna do inverse and exponential functions. That's unit 1. And here we have 1, 2, 3 segments for this, plus the post test, obviously. And then we're going to do logarithms. 1, 2, 3. There's going to be an activity, a discussion. You guys are actually in class together. So unlike normal discussions when you guys are working on Edmentum, you guys actually know the people that you're talking to. So I think that's going to make it a little bit better. You guys can even post to each other if you want. Um, if you think someone explained it better or like someone helped you learn from it, you guys can always check out the discussion. So again, that's 3. So I feel like that's going to stay at the 3-week pace. This one, 2, 3, 4. I feel like unit circle, we might go through a little bit faster. I think Nelson, you're the only one who hasn't taken Algebra 2 yet, right? Okay. So you did learn trig with me in Algebra 1, and you were actually really good at trig. So I think the unit circle won't be too bad for you. I just might have to teach you a couple tricks here and there to kind of like supplement what you didn't learn in Algebra 2. So unit circle's probably not going to be that bad, guys. I know it was like challenging in Algebra 2, but the way I look at the unit circle is a lot simpler than the way normal other people look at it. Unit 4, we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4. Um, Honestly, half angles and product angles with the cheat sheet aren't that bad. I'm gonna go through when we get to this. I'll show you guys how to use the cheat sheet to help you guys with these. I'm not interested in you guys remembering how to do something. I want to see you guys understand the logic and process in doing it. Like you kind of think your way out of it as opposed to like, I don't remember what that is. Like you'll go on the half angle formula and you'll be like, oh, like let me pull up the half angle formulas right now, actually. So let's say they give you, again, this looks a little more complicated than it is. Obviously, if it's a double angle formula, going the other way around would be your half angle formula. So there are going to be little tricks like that where you'll have this here for you. You just kind of have to think about a certain way, and we'll get to that later. What else? Oh, we were looking at this is the one that Nick was talking about, where there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there's 7 things here. I think Nick was talking about the fact that there's also unit activity, discussion, and this. Some of these I already think we're not going to use. Negative vectors we might skip out on because honestly, all it is a vector the opposite way. So we might not need that one. Um, Complex numbers and De Moivre's theorem. I don't think that's really necessary for the test. Plus, I think you already do. Yeah, you already do complex numbers earlier, so that's already a couple ones that we can cut. I'm gonna talk to Jose about it. But other than that, do you guys have any questions on semester 1 so far? All right, cool. So let's get into the first lesson. And honestly, guys, if you guys need more help, you guys can always make an appointment with me. So I'll send you all my Calendly on Remind. My Calendly is if you guys have never made an appointment with me, this is how you can make an appointment. And if you guys are taking Spanish, you guys can also make an appointment with me for Spanish too. So let's say you want to make an appointment for Thursday. So you move on to Thursday and you're like, okay, these are all the times I have available. Or let's say you want one Wednesday before class. So if you notice here, 11 through 12 is missing. And that's because on my calendar, we have this class. So if you want one right before class, you can do that. So 11 o'clock is missing, unlike the other days, because anything that shows up in my Google Calendar will not show up here. That's why you'll see missing times. So you'll pick a time, confirm the time, and then it's going to ask you for your name, first and last. I prefer it that way I know exactly who I'm talking to. Write your school email. Before I wasn't able to share my screen with student emails. I think they fixed that now. And give me a reason why you're making an appointment, and then just schedule the event and I'll book it. And what'll happen is you'll receive an email, but more importantly, you'll receive a Google invite. Um, like you'll receive a Google invite that'll show you who's participating. It will just be you, and then you can just click the Google Meet, or you can just go to meet.google.com. I don't know if you guys have ever done that. Meet.google.com. This will show you all your appointments. So your appointments with your teacher, your pre-calculus SGI. I should really change that to cohort. This is more of a cohort than an SGI. I need to change that. Um, but yeah, so you guys can always book those appointments with me if you need more help. Here we go. So let's get into the first tutorial. And like I was saying before, I went off in that tangent. I'm gonna TLDR a lot of this. So I'm gonna expect you guys to watch the videos. That's why I sent you an assignment like, hey, watch the introductory videos because I'm not gonna sit here for like it's only 17 seconds, but still, I'm not gonna sit here for 17 seconds just like this movie's pretty boring, huh? just because I want to get into the lesson and I know you guys can do that on your own. So, again, the introductions and everything, please watch those on your own before we start the lesson. So, on these, where it says creating a function, we're talking about basically how we can find formulas for things. So, in this case, the example they're giving here is finding the area. Well, if we want to find the area about this, I have a cool little tool here that lets me sign in. Give me a second. Google. All right. So I just needed to sign in. Go back to where were we? I hate how Edmentum opens all these tabs up for you. So can you guys see me? Give me a second. Can you guys see me writing on the screen? As soon as I finish, can you guys see that? Cool. Awesome. Thanks. So when it's talking about this, let's say we're trying to find a formula for something. So normally we know everything's length times width, right? So we know area is normally length times width. But let's say we didn't have the exact values for L and W. And instead we had like, oh, we have something like the width. The width is 5 less than twice. Uh, I don't know how to spell, guys. Don't judge me. I'm not an English teacher. Twice the length. So if we did that, it's like, well, here we have a length, and the width is 5 less than twice the length. So we're going to do 2 times the length minus 5, because this is 5 less than twice the length. So now, if we know the length, we can figure out what this area is. Oops, I forgot the 2. Does that make sense? Does anybody have any questions on that? Okay, that's fine. Is Nick going to be the spokesman for the class? He's going to tell me no when to move on? What happened? Cool. Okay, cool. Just as long as somebody says no or somebody speaks up, um, Nick, just let me know when you think it's okay to move on. All right. Everyone voted you the official spokesman. So now they're talking about how we create functions here for everything else, like creating functions for the dining room table and stuff like that. So this is basically just this idea of, let's say we had 20 tables. So I'm going to go with my example with, um, so we have the lengths, this times the length, and we still don't know what the areas are, but now we're going to be looking for 20 tables, so this is going to be times 20. And I know these numbers aren't matching up with what's on the screen, but that's because I want you guys to think of how this applies in general as opposed to what's on here. You guys can always read this on your own, that's fine. But I want you guys to kind of start thinking about how we can make formulas, not just following the example, which I guess is counterproductive because I'm giving you an example. But this is basically just saying, like, here, we have the formula for area. Now we have the formula for area of 20 tables. Does that make sense? Spokesperson Nick? Thanks, Nick. All right, cool. So Now we're going to move on to this one here. So we're going to drag tiles for each scenario. And I forgot to turn the unanswered part on. So here it's asking what the length is required for a rectangular garden in terms of the width. If the length is 2 units more than 1.5 times the width, right? So in other words, the length equals, we're going to say 2 units more. So we're going to add 2 to whatever the rest of it is. So whenever they say these questions, they kind of say it backwards. Then 1.5 times the width. So we're going to do 1.5 times W, right? So this is our L. And since we know it's asking for, what's it asking for? If to find the required length of fencing. So when we're talking about length of fencing, we're talking about all the way around, right? And all the way around is a perimeter. So we're going to add length plus width plus length plus width, right? But if we look here, we have 2 lengths. So we're going to do 2 times L plus 2 times W. But we already said that L is something else. So we can take this information and put it in here. So this becomes 2 1.5 W plus 2 plus 2W. So all I did there was, let me get my highlighter out. This, I replaced it with this. Everything else is the same. The 2 is still there. The 2W is still there. Is this making sense? Does anyone have any questions on it so far? You do have questions, or is it making sense? It's not making sense? Make up your mind, Nelson. I will tease you guys. Just let me know if the teasing becomes too much, all right? All right. So now I'm going to multiply across here. So 2 times 1.5, that's 3. Just take my word for it. 2 times 2, that's going to be 4, plus 2W. So now we have these W plus W. So we end up getting this 5W. I did not mean to make that yellow, but I guess it's yellow now. Plus 4. So let's look for an equation where the area, or I'm sorry, the perimeter with an input of W. So notation, guys, this just is the name of the function. I put P because I want it to be the perimeter. And I put W in here because that's going to be our input. Our input is going to be the width in this case. So that's why you'll see this sometimes, this f of x. What this means is this is a function called f with an input of x. And I'm sorry for my bad writing, guys. I'm a math teacher, so I think it's like required for us to have bad writing. Did Anush have bad writing? Nicholas, I can't picture her having bad writing. I don't know. I think she teaches calligraphy too, so she might be the exception to the rule. Okay, so I erased it, but the formula I got was 5W plus 4, right? Yes. Because it was 2, 1.5W plus 2 plus 2W. Yep. Okay. So here we're going to look for that formula. So that's right here. So we're going to just drag this tile all the way down here. If you guys have Chromebooks, I know this is a pain. I recommend getting a mouse. because I know you guys have to like click it with one finger and then drag it with the other finger. So you guys are able to plug in your mice into the Chromebooks, or if not, just do this on a personal computer if you have access to a personal computer, or tell your friend to bring their laptop over. You're going to do a gaming session and then be like, I'm borrowing this for homework. All right. So now we're going to do the area of the circular ring in terms of the inner circle, which has 2 units less than the radius of the outer circle. So this is really hard to kind of understand. Basically, it's saying we have 2 circles here, right? We have an inner circle and an outer circle. From here, which is 2 units less than the radius of the outer circle. The inner circle is 2. So here we have an outer circle radius, and the inner circle is 2 units less than the radius of the outer circle. So that means we have this r, and this little r in here is going to be r minus 2 because it's 2 less than the outer circle. And it wants the area of the ring. So it wants this area. It wants this donut basically. So in order to do that, we're going to have to take away the area of this blue part. So the way we do that is we're going to take the area of the big circle minus the little circle. So area of a circle, if you guys need formulas for areas, let me know. I can give you guys formulas for areas, but the area of a circle is pi r squared. So that's the big area, right? Because that's our area there. And then we're going to take this area minus the area of the other one. So that's going to be pi, and our radius in this case is r take away 2 squared. Now, the problem that I see a lot of students do is they just distribute this negative, but that's not the way you want to do this. What you want to do here is you want to do r minus 2 times r minus 2, and then we have to FOIL this out. Or you can always box method it. Nelson and Nick, I don't think I ever taught you guys how to multiply using the box method. I think I taught you guys how to um, solve trinomials or how to factor using the box method, but you can actually do it backwards. If you know what these are, you can just be like r times r. Oh, I forget. You guys can't see me move the pen unless I'm writing. R times r is r squared. R times negative 2 is negative 2r. And r times negative 2 again, that's negative 2r. And negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4. Does that kind of make sense, guys? Oh, normally when you guys do the box method, we have the first and the last one, and then you guys have something over here. This is kind of doing the box method backwards. Okay, this is basically just foiling because it's first, outer, inner, last, and that's how I taught you guys to do it. If you guys took my class, if not, foiling is normally the way people learn how to multiply, but you can also use it for you can also do the box method when you're multiplying two. These are called binomials because they have 2 terms. And then what you do here is you're going to add these two that I circled, and that's going to make negative 4r. So then this becomes r squared minus 4r plus 4. Does that make sense, guys? And this is times pi, because we still have to multiply this by pi. So we have pi r squared minus 4 pi r plus 4. Well, what happens here is, let me erase some of this. Is it okay if I erase this, guys? Okay, cool. Again, this is gonna be available for recording, so if you guys miss out on notes, you guys can always see my screen later. It might take a while to process though, because it does take a minute, especially since it's gonna be a long video. So what happens here is we're gonna distribute this negative over to all of these, right? So this becomes negative pi r squared positive 4 pi r plus 4. So what's going to happen here is this and this cancel out because one of them's positive, one of them's negative, and you're just left with 4 pi r. In case you guys can't see it, that's supposed to be a pi, and this is supposed to be the r. And that's going to be our answer. So we're going to move this all the way down to, I'm having trouble, and I have a mouse right here. Oh, they put it as x, I put it as r. Same thing. So now that you're down to 2, I recommend just looking at which one's easier now that you have elimination down. So you eliminate a lot of stuff. Don't do the harder work, guys. Work smarter, not harder. So the lateral surface area of a cylinder, radius x, blah, 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 2 more inches. The lateral area of a cylinder. If the height, okay. So lateral area, if you guys took geometry from the packets, is L pi r. You guys, honestly, you guys can Google the formula for lateral area. So lateral area of a cylinder. So they say it as 2 pi r times h. It would end up being the same thing, but you guys can also use this. So they call it lateral surface, but lateral surface is the lateral area. It's talking about surface area. So if you guys are ever stuck with that, you guys can use like a formula sheet or honestly, Google the formula. So I think this one isn't that bad. Let's take a look at the other one. The water level in terms of hours elapsed if the initial water was 4 inches and the water level is rising at a rate of every 15 minutes. So this to me looks like a linear equation because what's happening here is we start off at 4 and then we have 4.5 inches per 15 minutes. And then we're going to multiply it by the number of minutes. So either one I think would have been easy, but this one, if you guys, it's a constant rate. So in here, time elapsed, blah, 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 the rate is rising. So this is a rate, 1.5 over 15. If you guys have this, what's happening here is it's rising over time, which is run. So if you guys think of rise over run, you guys should be thinking of a line. So that should be y equals mx plus b. So this is your m. M is always rise over run. And then your b is your starting point. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with this. I saw this one time and I thought it was pretty cool. This is how you move your rate of change. And this is where you begin. So your initial rate. So that's how I've always like looked at it after I saw that. I think I saw it on like a picture online. So here I can reduce that, but I know that that's a line. Oh, and I did this backwards apparently because it looks like the only line we have here is this one. So just literally knowing that it was a line, even though I did my math wrong, because I knew it was a line, I know it's going to have to be this one because the starting point is 4. Does that make sense? So that's what I mean by, guys, by work smarter, not harder. Literally, I knew this was a line, so my only options was this one and this one. Guess what? I already eliminated this one. This has to be it. It has a constant rate of change. This has to do with circles and stuff. So if it has to do with circles and stuff, then I'm going to have to do the one with pi. Does that make sense? Ah. So I'll leave this here for you guys to kind of take a look at it, make a mental note, or you guys can always come back to it later when the recording is up. But and then let's submit it to see how right I am. Yes, I got them all right. I should have done this under my account because if you guys look, you guys have a student that's probably never gonna join you on the student account here. I'm also at 0%, so let's see if you guys can do it more than I can. Oh, Garrett already started. Garrett's ahead of me. I need to fix that. All right. So we got that part down. All right. So now we're gonna create our own we're going to create and combine functions. So here's something I want to show you guys. Um, you know how it's hard to like show your work? I don't know if you guys have had a math class on Edmentum before. If you guys have, you probably know it's kind of hard to do the formulas. You can click this little equation editor and it'll help you do the formulas. So you can be like f of x equals, I just use the keyboard for that. And then let's say I want to do x squared, I can go up here. But if you look at that here, it says superscript is control up. So here I can either click it, or if I don't want to click it, I can just do control up on my keyboard and then I can put my exponent. If I use the little arrow, it goes back to writing normally. So you guys can do that. But that does take a bit of time. So what I actually recommend is using this. So let's say you have a picture, you go on your phone and you take a picture, right? So let me see if I have any pictures here. So you can go onto your computer or your phone and take a pictures from here. I'm just going to take a random picture uh, here. This was actually a screenshot and give it a second. Did it not show up? Oh, make sure it's a JPEG because I guess this doesn't work too well with PNGs. But your phone should automatically put it as a JPEG. So let's try a JPEG. Open. I promise you it works. I don't know why it's not working right now though. I think because I'm not a student. Oh, that's right. I'm not a student, so it doesn't let me submit it under the review mode. So, but I promise you, you guys can click this. You can even drag a picture. So if you have like something like, let me take a, oh, that won't work. Or, oh, does screenshots, do screenshots work? Oh, yeah. I've done that before too. I think this one, it's not working because I'm not a student, so it's not letting me submit. So next time I will be under a student account, so I can show you guys how to do this. But the point I was trying to make is you guys can take a picture with your cell phone. So let's say you're writing stuff down on paper, just take a picture with your cell phone and connect your cell phone to the computer, or I think you can even log into Edmentum from your cell phone. It just looks really weird. So I recommend doing that, to be completely honest, because it doesn't make sense for you to show all this work on paper and then have to type it in the computer again. That doesn't make any sense. Don't do more work than you guys have to. Okay, so if you guys are doing an activity that you have to submit, just take a picture of your work. I know a lot of students are like, well, I don't know how to show my work. It's like you get a piece of paper and you write on it and you take a picture. That's how you show your work. Um, but that's a cool one, Gayazo. I use Snippet Tool myself. I like snippet tool just because you can literally click whatever you want to write on and it takes a picture of it. And then also, I guess if you use snippet tool, what you can do is you can just, if you like using your mouse, I don't. That's why I have this little pen here. If you guys can see me on your little screens, and a tablet, and it lets me write. But if not, you guys can always use your mouse and kind of write it out. I'm terrible at using my mouse, but then again, I'm terrible at using my tablet. So what you gonna do? And then it's gonna ask if you can save it. So Gayazo, as Nick said, or Snippet Tool, whichever one you guys like, or take a picture with your cell phone. Um, shoot, like take a picture with your Chromebook camera. Just put it up there, and I guess just I don't know. Be resourceful. Just be like this and just snapshot it, like whatever. All right. Anyways, let's get back to this activity. So this says describe a situation uh, with an output in square feet and can be modeled by this function. So what we're doing here is we're kind of thinking about the opposite of this. So this, they actually just want you to write, write a story. Um, so I'm gonna when I'm going through your guys' tutorials, I'm gonna expect you guys to all have this. But think of it this way: we already talked about this, so we're gonna say something like the area of a table. I don't know how to spell. I'm sorry. Table. Um, where the length and I'm gonna make length the longer one because length usually means longer. Length that is so if I'm looking at the longer one, let me get my highlighter out. I'm gonna be looking at this right here because it's longer. Obviously, if you have 2 times something, it's longer. That is, and we're gonna work it backwards. So we're gonna say that is, let me go back to mouse mode. 5 more than it's 2 times. So I'm gonna say twice the width. So it's area because it's length times width, and the length is going to be 2 times more than the width plus 5 extra. But I don't want to say 2 times more plus 5 extra. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say 5 more than twice the length. Does that make sense, guys? Representative Nick. Is making sense? Cool. What did you say, Nelson? You're hanging on? So this next one, remember I told you that this is going to be describing this right here describes a function with an input. Normally it's f of x, but now it's saying your function has an input of 15. So what you're going to do here is instead of writing x where these x's are, you're going to write 15. So here you're going to be like, let me go back to pencil mode. And this is why I recommend you guys do it on paper and just take a picture and upload it using this. You're going to write f of 15 equals 15 to, notice how I always put 15 in parentheses. This makes it easier because now I'm not going to write 215. That just looks like 215. It lets me know that I'm multiplying. So 215 plus 5. And then your next step is going to be 15, 30 plus 5. And then somebody get a calculator out if you guys have one. 15 times 35. Can someone plug in 15 times 35 in a calculator for me? 525. So that's going to be your answer for your area. And this is how you can show your work on paper. So that's all you're doing here is just inputting the thing into the function that they already gave you. Is everybody good with this? Does anybody need to copy it down real quick? Okay. 15. Okay, you can take a screenshot. That's smart. All right. So, considering Nelson just gave everybody the idea of taking screenshots, I'm going to assume you guys are good with this one and move on. All right. So, now describe a situation involving area in feet modeled by this. Now, here's the problem. When we want area in feet, we want something like area equals length times width. What in the world is this? This isn't length times width. This is like something times something else, but times something else. Like, why are we adding here? That doesn't make any sense, right? So, if you guys remember from algebra 1 or algebra 2, what you want to do here is if you factor, you have something times something else, right? That's exactly what we're doing here. So what we're going to do is we're going to factor this. So it's a good thing I brought up the box method again. So what we're going to do here is we're going to do a box. All right. Um, Nick, what goes in the first box? That's right, Nick. It is 2x squared. Good job. Okay. So what goes in the last box? Yes, that is right. It's 6. This isn't Jeopardy, Nick. You don't have to say it in the form of a question. So, and then what I usually tell you guys is put this middle number as a reminder of what these two boxes over here have to add up to. So, how do we get 2x squared? Well, what I'm going to do is 2x times x, and then from here, I'm going to have to find a way to get 6. So I can do that by 1 times 6, or I can do that by 2 times 3. I'm going to go with, so I want to get this negative 13. So if I want to get negative 13, if I do a positive 6, a positive 2 times a positive 3, I'm going to get positive numbers. So I want a negative number, right? This negative is really important. So I know they both have to be negative. And just to kind of make it faster, guys, I'm just going to let you know it's going to be this because I want to get like a big 13. I'm not going to get that by 2 times negative 3 because 2 times negative 3 is only negative 6. And then x times uh, x, sorry, I forget you guys can't see my mouse moving if I use a pen. X times negative 3 would only be negative 3, which only gives us 9. So we want something big. So I'm going to put negative 6 here. That's going to give me negative 12 here. And I'm going to put negative 1 here, and that's going to give me negative x here. And this should be x2. Does this kind of make sense what I'm doing, guys? Okay, cool. Yeah, this is factoring. That's what we're doing right here. We're factoring. It's not basically factoring, it is factoring. So here, what ends up happening is I have this minus 6 and this right here. Does that make sense? Cool. So I would take a screenshot of this, guys, because this is, this is work right here. You might not need this. I mean, you can erase it later on. But so now, I'll give you guys a sec to write that down or screenshot it. Raise your hand if you guys need more time copying it. So use this little thing here if you need more time copying it. Cool. So here we're left with x minus 6, and then it was 2x minus 6. So what we're going to say here we're going to come up with a story. We're going to say a table. Oops. A table has a width of, so we're going to say length times width, right? W times L, or whichever way you want to do it. I'm going to assume that this one is smaller than this one over here because it's not being multiplied by 2 and you're taking away 6 instead of taking away 1. So it's going to have a width of x minus 6 and a length of 2x minus 1. So that's going to give you an area, or you can even write down, so the area is x minus 6 to x minus 1. So what happens here is you're basically just figuring how to make this length times width by factoring. So that's what you did here. And then you're kind of making up a story. So that's why it says describe a situation involving area in square feet. Does that make sense? Are you sure? um, okay, cool. So this is I know it's 12 guys. I'll just wrap it up right now. So we'll continue part D later. But do you guys have any questions about how I'm teaching the class? Anything like that? Any comments on what you guys want to see that's different? 3 weeks. So you are going to want to be doing other units on the side. Like, so for example, let me go through the lesson plan again, or the curriculum. Where's the curriculum? Here it is. So basically, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to finish the tutorial on Wednesday. You guys take the mastery test whenever you want. So that's 1 week. Then you have inverse functions next week. It should be faster next week because um, I'm not going to show you guys how to use Google Classroom and all that other stuff. And then we're going to do exponents. So that's 3 weeks right there. And after you take your mastery test, you can take the post test. Does that make sense? So you guys are going to have to work on other units in your classes, but there is going to be a point where you turn in 2 math units, hopefully. And even if you don't, let's say it takes you 4 weeks because you're having a hard time with the post test, which we'll go over. If you guys don't pass it, like I'll go over the test with you, and we can work on how to get a passing grade at that point in time. But other than that, do you guys have any questions about how the rest of the class will work? Yeah, good. Do you guys like how I'm teaching it? Is there any way you guys want to see differently? Okay, that's good. I mean, it is a classroom. You guys can raise your hands, it's like you can raise your head. Like if you feel like laughing, you can laugh, you know. You can give a thumbs down if you don't understand stuff, but no, yeah. And that's what I get what you're saying. I'm just teasing you, Nelson. But that's what I wanted to do for this is I know Nick's been wanting a pre-calc class forever, and this is the closest thing I can do given circumstances. But yeah, I might even make it if we have extra time to like you guys can discuss things and stuff like that if you guys want to do that, or you guys can talk. So any other comments or concerns? What's up? Yes, we can definitely do that. Yeah, we can, because I know right now it's kind of slow. If you guys feel that I'm going too slow, feel free to raise your hand and answer the question for me. Okay. And the only reason why I'm doing 3 weeks is I rather give you guys a longer time than a shorter time. Does that make sense? Uh, and because we're only meeting like for an hour twice a week, I don't see how we can go through it faster unless like people start answering, like raising their hands and answering questions faster. You know what I mean? I will try to start lesson planning in a way where the lesson is going to go really fast and I might have it explained already, or I might have it like on a little PowerPoint or something. That way it is faster because I do want you guys to turn in your units fast. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I will work on making it faster if that's what you guys want. Do you guys want it to be faster than 3 weeks for a unit? Okay. What about you guys? Okay. And that's the thing, guys. If you guys feel you can go faster, make appointments with Calendly with me just to check in. Be like, hey, I already finished unit one. Like, I'm done. And then I can be like, okay, let me look at your work. I'm like, oh, you need to explain this more, blah, 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 blah. Or, you know, like you can do it on your own. Edmentum can let you do it on your own. I'm here to give you guys any support you guys want. So if you guys want to go faster, if you guys want to go slower, we can meet up and do that. Sound good? Sound good? All right, cool, guys. All right, guys. Well, I gotta go on my lunch. I'll see you guys on Wednesday. Here, bye.